I cannot see how it can be done. Is this something I should be considering now? And do you have any suggestions? Love, Helen.
Do I have any suggestions? Yes, indeed. Let off the limits in your mind and expect a miracle. Expect the unexpected. You don't have to understand how it can happen. You simply have to not stand in the way of it happening by exercising your disbelief. Now, I know you understand what I'm saying. For the sake of others, I will say this. You can't decide what you want. You can't make up what you would like to have and then not stand in the way of its appearing. Remember that I mentioned earlier, you pay attention to the need. Helen has expressed a recognition of a need. She didn't make it up. She didn't imagine it. She didn't say, we need to have a large house with a swimming pool and a tennis court and gardeners and kitchen help and so on, because we deserve it. No. She recognized a need. She attended to the need and asked about the need. And I gave her the answer. And when you are willing to pay attention to your needs, as I said, they are where fulfillment is intent upon emerging as the absence of the need, which is another way of saying need fulfilled. But you see, need never was the focus. It's what got your attention. The focus is the emergence of fulfillment, which, as it comes to your attention, makes it clear to you you don't have it. So the leading edge of fulfillment always registers as a lack, a need, an unanswered question, you see. So that's why you pay attention there, because it's where the breakthrough is ready to occur. And then you expect a miracle, and you expect the unexpected, and you don't stand in the way of it through the expression of doubt. Thank you, Helen. Okay.
We have a question from Rafaela.
Pardon?
We have a question from Rafaela.
Rafaela.
Hi, Raj and everybody. I've been wondering and spin around this thought, which I notice that I'm not the only. How am I right now in my communication with my guide? Am I close or far, far away? How can I make it faster and efficient? I hope not being too much impatient. Thanks.
Well, there is enthusiasm and impatience, but it gets in the way. It isn't peace. Impatience is a form of willfulness, and you're going to need to be willing to set it aside when you are sitting down to make connection. And as in Paul's case, he needed to be willing to set it aside indefinitely, not just for tonight, and then not just for the next night, and not just for the next night, because he was still trying to find a way to twist the universe's arm to make it happen now, now, now. And it didn't happen. And finally, he had to arrive at a point where if it didn't happen for a year, he wasn't going to stop. And that was what constituted the abandonment of willfulness or impatience. You see, Impatience, even for a good reason, even for a holy reason, is still willfulness. So, set it aside. You're as close as your willingness. Your guide is responding to you. Every time you give your attention in that direction, you're just not hearing it yet. Then you are going to have to, quote, let the words form in your mind. And you know what? You might not know whether it's you making it up or not. But you're going to have to let the words form. And when they form, you're going to have to be willing to pay attention to them and persist in letting it happen. And it might be a number of months before you can actually distinguish a difference between your thinking and the guidance that you're getting. This won't come, this ability to distinguish won't come in the first conversation or the 10th or the 20th, you see. It comes through persistence and trust. That doesn't mean to trust everything you hear. If you hear something that seems unreasonable, challenge it. Ask for further explanation. But trust into the process of listening so that it can happen. Let the words form in your mind. I'm also going to encourage you to not limit responses from your guide to the period of time when you're sitting down listening. It may happen in the car from something you hear on the radio, a lyric in a song, a sign, words on a billboard, but they will stand out. They will register with you differently, and it will get your attention. Please know that you have a guide for a reason. Your guide is charged with the responsibility, if I may put it that way, of helping you wake up when you finally have an interest in it. And so the fact that you've begun to have an interest in it is a cause for great rejoicing. And your guide is far from inattentive to you. Far from inattentive to you. You're not doing this all by yourself. Your guide is working with you from the other side of whatever blocks connection. So persist. With patience, with peace, without willfulness. That's the end of the answer.
We have a question from Virginia. Hi, thank you all for the gift you all offer. My question is that my life experience has become flat, no highs, no lows. Even though I like my life, I thought that all the attention I have given to waking up, I would be experiencing something more enriching by now. Why, when I experience the big picture, it's not enough for me to wake up?
Paul has the same question. Do you have an ace up your sleeve that you're not telling us about? That you're holding out for? If there isn't enough demonstration of the value of loving truth, are you going to quit and do what you really want to do? In other words, has the ego made the suggestion to you that if this doesn't work out, it has an idea for you that is really going to be great, and you'll finally be able to do what'll really get you satisfaction. That's what I mean by having an ace up your sleeve. Or is there something in you that knows that the truth and the experience of God in everything is your birthright, and that no matter how long it takes, you're not going to attend to anything else? What this amounts to is, for lack of better words, a crisis of commitment. A place where you have to take a look at whether there is commitment, and is it weak or is it definite? The suggestion your ego presents you with is that there is an alternative to this. It won't tell you what it is until you ask. But it whispers in your ear, yeah, if this doesn't work out, I have an idea. Do I have an idea for you? And it tempts you not to be at peace with what your being is unfolding. And it also taunts you by saying that if it were really the truth, it would be more spectacular. The ego also suggests to you that because it isn't more spectacular, because there isn't more evidence of the miraculous, you either aren't doing very well, or you don't have what it takes. And it attempts to demoralize your intent, demoralize your feelings about yourself and your capacity. And you've got to be alert to tell it to shut up. Now, you, just as with Paul, have umpteen years of evidence of the validity and value of your path, of where you're giving your attention. And Paul understands that you can lose the awareness or abandon that awareness and get caught up in the self-satisfying feeling of poor me. Don't let the ego steal away your joy, and don't let it steal away the progress you have made. And don't let the spectacular be the justification for your loving truth. A word to the wise. I'm going to tell you something else. You and Paul and everyone else engaged in this movement, this activity, are being the leaven that leavens the whole lump. You are contributing to the lessening of the density of the dream amongst the dreamers. I was going to say in the world, but there are dreamers elsewhere as well. And each of you is the little bit of leaven that leavens the whole lump. So I encourage you not to become too discouraged. Okay. Next question.
This question is from Samuel. Raj, can you talk about terrorism and the world situation? And is the U.S. handling this situation correctly?
Well, let's put it this way. It isn't handling it with the utmost skill. But it isn't letting it exist unchallenged, which is absolutely essential. In other words, it is absolutely essential to challenge it. and no one else is taking the lead. It is to the credit of those who are, shall I say, leading the challenge, that they are doing it even though skill is having to be learned in the process. There needs to be far more support for it than there is, and it is requiring of the U.S. that it educate others as to the need and the value of not letting division assert itself, and insisting upon maintaining the unity of the whole as the most valuable and essential project, if I may put it that way. A thief attempts to escape from the place he has just robbed and is handled roughly when he's apprehended by the law, and then complains that he was being abused by being stopped without courtesy. Let's be sure that appreciation and value and valuing are being extended to those who are saying no to division, to aggressive acts of attempting to divide. That's the end of the answer.
The next question is from June. Raj, you've said that eating too much doesn't cause overweight. It seems like my weight changes only in response to what I eat. Why is that? And what can I do to lose weight permanently? Thank you.
You mean lose weight and keep it off permanently, not to permanently lose weight until you disappear. You're going to say I'm being too simplistic here, but I'm not. You are being governed by the idea, the belief, the concept that what you put in your mouth keeps you alive, and if you put too much in, you will gain weight. Your metabolism is governed by your belief. Now, I encourage you to pay attention to what you think, because it determines how you're going to perceive what is utterly perfect about you, the visibility and tangibility of your individuality, your body. It's going to cover what you're seeing. It's going to govern how you're seeing it. If it were your belief that your body were utterly intelligent and that it would utilize what was needed and discard what was not, that would be your experience. I bet you know exactly which things are fattening and which ones aren't. And I bet you have a definition of which of those fattening things are the most fattening for you. This is your belief. And it creates a false perception of something that is utterly perfect in form, outline, and color, balanced. If you want a new perception, then undo and abandon your very definite beliefs. As I said, you may think that's too simplistic, but it is that simple. But again, it requires of you that you make commitment to something other than the very definite beliefs that you've been governing yourself by and holding your body to. There's an authorization that I have shared before that will be helpful. I'll give you a second to grab a pencil. I'll say it slowly. If you don't get it all down, I will post it on the gathering place later this evening. It goes like this. I authorize my body to release whatever is not necessary to its perfect functioning, period. And, comma, I withdraw any prior conscious or unconscious thought, authorization. And I withdraw any prior conscious or unconscious authorization to the contrary, period. And as I've shared before, this is not a means of your having control over your body. It's already your body's intent, its divine intent, to identify the presence of your individuality perfectly. That is already its intent, its function. All this authorization is you bringing your mind into harmony with what it's already the intent of your body to be, so that you are not employing any conflicting messages. You see? Okay. That's the end of the answer.
And we have a question from Annie. I have doubts that my question about my physical health is appropriate, but will ask just in case I am mistaken. Can you tell me the source of my back pain? It is chronic, intermediate in degree, but growing worse.
Very simply, it stems from a false sense of responsibility, which you insist upon claiming as being yours. And you insist upon asserting you are trying to be in charge of something that it's none of your business to be in charge of. And you are getting the no, the N-O to it. You are getting the experience of the fact that you're out of line, that you're out of sync, that you're not in harmony. I know. But I can't just let it continue. I can't say nothing. I can't not object. Well, you can if it's none of your business. You can if it's none of your business. You can if the Father hasn't said, together we are going to address this and correct it. If indeed there is a call for correction here, then in this specific case, you're going to need to turn it over to the Holy Spirit. You go within and tell the Holy Spirit that you have been told that this is not your responsibility, and yet you recognize a call for correction that you can do nothing about, and you're not going to endure any more pain trying to do what it's none of your business to be doing, and therefore you are turning it over to the Holy Spirit to attend to. And then leave it with the Holy Spirit. I'm being very matter of fact with you, very straight with you, because it's utterly inappropriate for you to be in pain. It doesn't stem from a problem that needs chiropractic adjustment. It's simply tension caused by a totally inappropriate expression of willfulness in the form, again, of your claiming responsibility for correcting something that it's none of your business to be dealing with. I know, if someone doesn't speak up, all hell will break loose. Well, then let it break loose. Except that I promise you that if you abandon it yourself and turn it over to the Holy Spirit will find a way to turn it to the advantage of the one needing correction. Have a little more faith. Okay. Well, this is a wonderful way to be together. And I look forward to the next time we have this opportunity, which will be the third Saturday in August. I have enjoyed being with you. And what I want you to be aware of is that my connecting with you through Paul is not the only way for this to happen. I am available to every one of you. Everyone. Even though I may not be your guide. And the slightest bit of your attention directed toward me, I am conscious of and respond to. Just as with your guide. My love is ever present with you, always in support of your clarity. Because clarity brings relief from misperceptions and illusions. Call on me at any time. And again, I look forward to being with you in this fashion in August. I love you all.